In this video, you're going to learn how to use the XLOOKUP function in Excel, and I'll also show you a few reasons why it's superior to VLOOKUP. And if you'd like to grab a copy of the Excel file I use in this video, just click on the link in the description below. Okay, over here in Excel, and I've got an exercise set up where we've got a table with some employee ID numbers, their corresponding names, and the postcodes and states in which they are employed. And what we're going to do is use the XLOOKUP function to extract some information from that table. So first of all, we're going to look up the employee ID numbers, and we're going to extract the corresponding name, and we're going to do it with different match types. So there will be exact match, exact or next smaller, and exact or next larger. And then further down, I'm going to show you a different match type called wildcard, where we're going to extract a postcode from a partial match for the name. And then back up here, I'm also going to show you how you can return multiple results, as in you can return the name and the postcode, not just the name. And then finally down the bottom, we're going to use XLOOKUP to look up values on the right and return values on the left, which is something that VLOOKUP can't do. It can only go from left to right. So that's one of the ways that XLOOKUP is better than VLOOKUP. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look up the employee ID and return a name if it's an exact match. So the way you start this function is just to type in equals XLOOKUP and open the brackets. Okay, and you can see the first thing it wants is the lookup value. Now you can type a value in here if you want, so I could type 1002 in there, but then it would be hard coded. So instead we'll reference that cell and then we'll press comma. Okay, so the lookup array is going to be the list of employee IDs. So I'll just drag the mouse down there to choose that array and then comma. The return array, so we're looking up the names. So the return array is going to be the list of names. So once again, I'll just left click on the mouse and drag it down there to choose all those values in that array, comma. Now the rest of the parameters here are all in square brackets, which means they're optional. So you don't need to put these in, but I'm going to put some of them in. So firstly, you can put a value in if it doesn't actually find anything. So what I'll do is I'll just in quotes type not found. So if XLOOKUP doesn't find a value, it will actually just put the words not found there instead of an error message. So it's just a bit cleaner. So then I'll press comma. Okay, so now match mode. So I want this to be an exact match, and you can see there's other options there, which we're going to go through in a minute. So I'll just type 0 for exact match, comma. And then you can see there's all these different ways of searching the list as well. But in all of these examples, I'm just going to do search first to last. I'm not going to go through the other options. So I'll just type in 1 and then close the brackets and press enter. And that's given us the result of PT. So we can see from our table over here that 1002 does exist for the employee IDs and the corresponding name is PT. So if I just click back into the function, you can see that it's looking up the values in column A and it's returning the corresponding value in column B, and it has to be an exact match. So what that means is if I was to type 1007 in here, which doesn't actually exist in that list of employee IDs, it skips from 1006 to 1008. You can see that it hasn't found an exact match, so it's returned not found, which is what we typed in there to be the value that it returns when it doesn't find something. So I'll just put that back to 1002. Okay, now what I'm going to do is actually just copy this function down. But before I do that, I'll just press F4 and just anchor some of these references in. Okay, so I've just anchored all of those in with the F4 key. And now when I drag it down, okay, you can see that all those references are still in place. Now this one is going to be exact or next smaller. So if we come over here to where we had to type in our match mode and just backspace. Okay, so that's letting us select a new match mode. And what we're going to do is -1 there, which is exact match or next smaller item. And the rest of the function is fine, so we can press enter. Okay, so that's returned PT because it has exactly matched 1002 in there, just like it did for the first XLOOKUP. But what happens this time if we have 1007, which, as you know, is not actually in the list? Okay, so the first XLOOKUP, as we know, returns not found. This one returns Gale, and that's because it's gone down the list from the top to the bottom, and it's not found 1007, so it's gone to the next smaller number, which is 1006, and returned the corresponding name, which is Gale. Okay, so that's how the exact or next smaller match type works. So what I'll do now is I'll copy that down. We'll go back in here and delete that. And then we'll do exact match or next larger, which is 1. Okay, so this time it's gone down the list and it's looked for 1007 and it can't find it again, but instead of going back one step to Gale, it's gone forward one step to 1008, which is Bob, and it's returned that one. Okay, so exact or next smaller went back to 1006 and returned Gale. Exact or next larger went to 1008 and returned Bob. And once again, if it does find the exact match, then it will return the corresponding name. Okay, now we're going to have a little look at returning multiple values. So I'm going to start it off again down here. And the lookup value is up here. The lookup array is over here. And this time I'm going to return both the name and the postcode. So that's the return array here. So the value, if not found, I'll just do the same thing as before. We'll go for an exact match. And we'll just do search first to last again. Okay, so it's looked for 1002 and it's found the name PT and it's found the postcode 43009. Okay, so this is another thing that XLOOKUP can do that VLOOKUP can't do, is that you can actually return values from multiple columns here. So if we were to make that array even bigger or even wider and incorporate column D, we could also return the state as well. Okay, so that's how it's a little bit more flexible and advantageous to VLOOKUP. Okay, now we're going to have a look at how we can use a wildcard. So if I come down here and start off another XLOOKUP, so the lookup value is going to be the name here, but I'm also just going to put in a wildcard. So you just put in ampersand, open the quotes, asterisk, and close the quotes. And it will become apparent why I did that in a sec. And then comma. So the lookup array is the names, comma. The return array is the postcodes, comma. And we'll just put in our value if not found. Now this time for the match type, we have to choose 2, which is the wildcard character match, comma. And once again, we'll just search first to last and close it off. Okay, so as expected, it's gone down and it's found Anna and it's returned 2507. But what if we just had the partial name AN in there instead of the full name Anna? So you can see there that it still worked. So it's gone down the list of names and it's found the first instance where it's got AN at the start and then something else afterwards, which is why we've got the wildcard after the G9 reference there. So if we did it the other way, where we looked up the second half of Anna's name, it wouldn't find it because there's no name on the list that starts with NA and then has something after it. Okay, so let's try another one. We'll look up GR. All right, and that's gone down the list of names and it's found Greta because it's got GR first. So that's the reference that we've got there in G9. And then we've got the wildcard after it, so there can be any text string after the GR, and it will find a match and return the corresponding postcode. Okay, so that's how you can use wildcards if you've got a partial match, if you like, which can be quite handy if there's a long text string in there and you just want to look up a little bit of the text and find out where that is in the list and return a corresponding value. All right, the last thing we're going to do is just have a look at how XLOOKUP can go right to left, whereas VLOOKUP can only go left to right. So we'll just start that off again. Okay, so the lookup array is going to be the names, and the return array, because we're looking for the employee IDs, is over on the left, right there. Okay, so we've got our normal value if not found. The match mode will make exact, and we'll do search first to last again. And as you can see, it's gone down the list of names, found the name Petey, and it's returned the value to the left, which is 1002. Okay, so VLOOKUP can't do that. It could only look down the names and then return either the postcode or the state because it's on the right of the names. It can't go left. So that's another way that XLOOKUP is better than VLOOKUP. Okay, so that's how you can use XLOOKUP in Excel. As you can see, it's got lots of different options, and it's also superior to VLOOKUP in a couple of different ways. So if you're not happy with VLOOKUP, you can always go ahead and replace it with XLOOKUP.